We got to talk a little volunteer recruiting because Tennessee fans aren't the only thing that'll be loaded on Saturday afternoon. So will the recruiting section inside of Neyland. It is expected to be a huge recruiting event, one of the biggest we've seen in Knoxville. So we're going to break it down with Matt Ray from VolQuest. We are talking 5-star recruiting. But first, Tennessee fans, do me a favor. Hit subscribe to the Rivals Recruits channel. I am fired up for this weekend. So let's go jump on board. We're talking Tennessee recruiting all season long. Hit subscribe. All right, let's bring in Matt Ray. Matt, we know it's going to be a capacity showing for number 15 versus number 6 Georgia. Georgia, though, 8 straight wins coming into this one, but I swear there's a buzz in the air right now in Knoxville. I think it's going to be a big one. So why is it so important? Like, I'm looking at this visit list now. Faison Brennan, Tristan Keys, Celeste Moa, Joel Wyatt. A lot of the commits are showing up for this one. Why is it so important to get these guys back on campus?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you just look at the class that Tennessee's built, surged into the top 10 here as we've started the fall. Yeah. It's just important to be back around those guys. I mean, some of those guys haven't been here since June. They've had their season start. So you just want to get those guys back around campus, let them continue to build that bond with the staff, remind them why they committed, and, allow those guys to have some more chances just to get to know each other a little bit, right? I mean, Celeste Moa and Tristan Keys are going to line up in the same wide receiver room, but probably haven't had a chance to meet each other yet. So I think from the camaraderie standpoint, it's really good for Tennessee to have those guys back and allow some of those guys to experience a big game inside of Neyland. Legend Bay is going to get that chance. Celeste Moa is going to get that chance. Faison Brandon, Tristan Keys, some of these routine guys that have been here for the past, year visiting at different times have had a chance to do that. But I just think from the camaraderie standpoint, it's huge for Tennessee to be able to allow them to continue building their bond with the staff and to build that bond with each other. This is a class that Faison Brandon has had a heavy hand in helping to build. Yeah. And it's a weekend for him to kind of look around and see those weapons around him and then those offensive line guys in front of him. And then they have a chance to peer recruit some other guys and talk them through what led them to their decision as a part of this 2026 class, as Tennessee has a big chance to make a move for guys in 2027.
Yeah. Faison Brandon, kind of like the face of this class for Tennessee, so it makes sense for him to be there, kind of represent. He's the bell cow of this class. Yeah. When we talk 2026 additions for Tennessee, it's mostly going to be flips because almost every recruit in the top 300 is committed somewhere. And one of the top flip targets on campus this weekend is Virginia Tech defensive line commit Andrew Rogers. He says he'll be there. Obviously, the trenches are always an important position to need. Do you think there could be any other flip targets by the time we get to kickoff on campus?
Well, I think we've learned with these big games from Tennessee over the past couple of years that you never know who's going to show up, especially these later afternoon games, yeah. Right? I mean, the last 2 cycles, they've done a really nice job of getting some guys in that nobody knew beforehand. So, I think this is one of those weekends where you just say, again, you never know who's going to show up. I certainly think that there's a chance that you see some guys show up. Tennessee's obviously going to have an invite out to some guys that they missed on and are going to continue to recruit to the finish line. And I think that's one of the most exciting parts of this weekend overall, is you just never know who's going to show up.
Yeah. And that's why we check VolQuest all weekend long. You guys do a phenomenal job of constantly keeping things updated. Also this weekend, we're going to see some really powerful 2027 names, including the number 1 overall player in the 27 class, offensive tackle Kennedy Brown, number 1 linebacker Cooper Witten. We know that's a big target for Tennessee. Number 3 running back in America, Ohio State, Tennessee battling over David Gabriel, Georgia. So also 2028, I know it sounds crazy to mention 2028, but even like with David Sanders, Tennessee didn't win David Sanders on signing day. No, they won David Sanders a year and a half, 2 years before. Well, at least that's when they started laying the groundwork for David Sanders. So how important is it to get these guys in this environment this early in their recruitments? Let's talk game time. All of a sudden, the college and NFL seasons are upon us, but guess what? We need our tickets, and getting deals on last-minute tickets can be frustrating when all you want is to be there for the moment your team runs out onto the field. And the GameTime app gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the hack for unlocking amazing tickets, experiences, and it only takes a few taps. The app's incredibly easy to use, and the GameTime guarantee, it means you can trust that you'll get 100% authentic tickets on time and at the best price. Plus, fees are always included. So, what you see is what you pay. That's why I use the GameTime app. It's super simple, and it makes the experience of buying great seats a breeze. I've even seen NFL tickets on there as low as $100. So, GameTime makes it easy to find and buy NFL tickets and tickets for every kind of event in your area. Also, the GameTime lowest price guarantee. It's where GameTime will credit you 110% of the difference to guarantee you're getting the lowest price. All right, here's what we're going to do. You're going to take the guesswork out of buying NFL tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use promo code INSIDESCOOP. You get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's INSIDESCOOP for 20% off.
Yeah, it's huge, especially for those younger guys that maybe haven't had a chance to experience something like this in the 2028 class. And Tennessee's got some guys in the 2028 class that are probably going to stay inside of that top 50, top 75 nationally throughout. So I think you can really lay some groundwork with those guys and say, hey, come back, experience this again, be around us a little bit more. And for those guys especially, I mean, Tennessee can't have direct contact with them. They can't initiate that direct contact. Other schools obviously are following those same guidelines. So to have those guys on campus and to get some FaceTime with them is just as important as well. But with these 2027s, I mean, some of these guys have started to experience that. And if you're Tennessee, this is one of those couple of games this fall that you really have, as Josh Heupel likes to say, showcase your brand of football. You have that chance this weekend. And, I think you mentioned 3 guys, and there's just so many there. And obviously, starting with Kennedy Brown, this is a chance for Tennessee to get a really good foot in the door, put their best foot forward, getting him out here. He's making the trip, and you have a chance to try to solidify yourself into a spot to get a visit in the winter or in the spring, and then work to get one of those official visits later in the process for the prospect who is the number 1 player overall in the Rivals rankings currently. And then obviously Cooper Witten, a guy that we highlighted this week along with Chad Simmons on our weekly recruiting show, Trail Tidbits. It's big for him to get out here. I think Tennessee's continued to do a lot of things well in that recruitment for the Vol legacy. He was out here at the end of the summer for the Big Orange Barbecue. Came out on his own. It was his first chance to just kind of get to experience Tennessee outside of everything that he knows it as, which is his dad's legacy. And I think Tennessee had a really good visit there. It'll be good for them to get him back to campus this weekend, as that's going to be, a pretty big national recruiting battle with schools like Clemson, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, and numerous others competing with Tennessee in that race. And then David Gabriel Georges is a guy that if you read over at VolQuest, everybody already wants to know. And I said this in one of our recruiting 3-2-1s. There's just guys in each cycle. The last cycle, it was David Sanders. This cycle, it was Tristan Keys and Faison Brent. There's just guys that fan bases tend to hone in on. And it feels like, to me, early on, for the Tennessee fan base, that's David Gabriel Georges in the 2027 cycle. Tennessee continuing to make the most of the proximity of having him nearby in Chattanooga, getting him back to campus this weekend along with some of his teammates who are already committed. So it's big for them in that regard as well.
Yeah, I mean, you can feel the battle lines being drawn. 2027 recruiting is here. I mean, we're not even looking ahead. Like, decisions are being made. It's here. It's fun. It's happening. So we will see. It's going to be great to hear some of the response, especially if Tennessee wins this one. We know the talent is off the charts in Knoxville very often. I mean, Josh Heupel and his recruiting staff know how to put on some recruiting events, but this weekend is certainly a showcase. Is this one of the biggest recruiting weekends in the Josh Heupel era, at least in season? We know summer's a little different, but in season?
Yeah, I think where we're at right now, this Rivals, potentially being one of the best, if not the best, recruiting weekends for Tennessee in the Josh Heupel era. Just when you look at the collection of talent across the board, I mean, there's so many Rivals 300 guys, from 2026 commits to inside the 2027 class, early standouts in the 2028 class. It's a pretty massive weekend for Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen them capitalize on these weekends in the past, and they're going to look to do it again.
All right, Tennessee fans, talk to us about this game. I don't want your predictions. I don't need to hear who you think is going to win. I want you to put in the comment section, how many points does Tennessee win by on Saturday? Let us know.